All right, so let's talk about this. Shogun on FX and Hulu. Incredible show. Just had its finale. A lot of people have been kind of getting into the show over the past couple of weeks because I think it's a show that kind of took some people by surprise. It certainly took me by surprise with just how good it was. I really, really enjoyed Shogun. However, a bit of controversy. I don't think it's like really crazy, but I've seen plenty of people very upset about the finale. And the thing is, I think I get it. Like, I think I understand why this happened. Really, this is less of a finale. It's more of like an epilogue, right? It kind of feels like the end of Lord of the Rings, but like one of them, right? So in Return of the King, you have like endings for like 30 different like stories. It just 30 minutes, you're just boom, ending, another ending, more ending, right? So that's kind of like Lord of the Rings. So I feel like Shogun's a little bit about that. The interesting thing is it actually wraps up pretty much everything. Okay? But one of the things this finale reveals is that the show is really more about the themes and the characters than it is conflict resolution. It kind of reminds me of some of the stuff we've talked about in the past where in Japanese culture, right, there is a 4-act structure that is very different than the 3-act structure of the West. And part of this is because this comes from a lot of their ancient writings and their philosophies over thousands of years. And so it's just kind of like in a lot of Eastern media, even modern Eastern media. And manga has that a lot, right? And so you've got a little bit of that going on where essentially you get a lot of closure of threads, call back to character moments, really, really interesting stuff. So there's a moment, I mean, dude, there's so much closure. There's the closure for the one guy that he earlier on says, "Why tell the future to a dead man?" And Toranaga says it to him before he cuts his head off. He reveals his full plan of how Mariko was able to turn that one lady who basically represents the heir and turn her against Ashido, and to like all of that sort of stuff, and him becoming Shogun. You get that wrapped up. You get the story of the Anjin wrapped up, right? But his story's kind of interesting because they have a flash forward where he's back in Europe with a lot of his stuff from his time in Japan. And so we kind of know he's going to not only survive, but he gets out of Japan. He eventually makes it back to Europe. And that's kind of what happens is you're getting a lot of the threads pulled together, but it does feel anticlimactic. It literally feels anticlimactic because you have all of this buildup, all of this tension, all of these stakes. And I think the show tonally, structurally was very different through most of its season. And then you get to the finale. And again, it is anticlimactic. It is more of an epilogue, kind of just wrapping up the different things and giving you character moments, allowing you to feel the sort of catharsis of these different characters. Like when Mariko's husband helps the Anjin to bring his ship to shore. And then Toranaga's like watching that, kind of shocked and surprised at how they all galvanize around him and actually do bring it to shore. And like, you can see all of these things kind of operating. You can see what Toranaga's plan was. It's I think it actually is a really good ending. The question becomes, though, in the age of hype, right? And in the age of social media, can a show like this do that? I mean, of course they can do it. They literally just did. But what I'm asking is, like, is this going to hurt the show? Because you got a lot of people on social media. You got a lot of people even within our own community that really didn't like it, that feel kind of robbed. And I do understand that because I think the show was kind of building up this hype sort of thing. It felt very close to like Game of Thrones in the way that people were engaging it. Yeah, I guess the question just becomes like, is this going to hurt the show? Will this prevent other people from watching it? Will this prevent the show from resonating in the way that it could? And I'm sort of two minds with it, right? I like it, and I think the show's actually like a really great piece of art, and I think it probably represents that novel really well. From what I understand, this is the exact ending that's in the novel. There's a lot of stuff that's left up for interpretation. You don't see the big battle, but you loosely know the history of Japan and how it all shakes out. So I guess we'll just kind of see, you know, because it's one of those things. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Dave Filoni, because Filoni does a lot of stuff that I think worked much better when the Clone Wars was in its heyday. And I think audiences, especially modern audiences, especially like TikTok audiences and, you know, your Reels audience and the fishbowl kind of mental that people have, right? Will that work? Are people going to respond to it? Or will they reject it? And I guess the jury's out on that, but I'll just say this. For me personally, it works. I really liked it. Like, I really did. I liked it a lot. And I don't really need a second season. I don't really need much more than that. Shogun is probably just going to be one of those shows I revisit maybe once every couple of years or whatever. But something that I get a lot of meaning out of. There's a real Zen philosophy that's kind of like exuded out of this show. And like, it's like the journey is the reward. You're not really on this journey to get that thing at the end. You're in it to experience the characters, the tension, you know, the drama. I think it's actually quite artful. But many of you guys might just be like, fuck that. I feel robbed. Screw Shogun. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I would love to know what you guys think, though. What do you guys think?